We are live.
Live from the Legion of Doom.
Meanwhile, behind this innocent-looking bookstore. Oh no, it's the facade of this innocent-looking bookstore. That's one of my favorites. Right, let's do a podcast.
Yes. That thing that we do on a weekly basis.
Exactly, let's do that. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of Shit Film Sundays. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I hope you have not got out of your gym jams yet and you are supping on coffee and watching some shit films or listening indeed to this show. In fact, maybe you're about to sit down and watch this week's shit film. However, before I get into that, I need to welcome back the Tonto to my Kemosabe. I'd say the Robin to my Batman, but that has different connotations, really. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryn's back! Hey!
The rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Also, Phil, I would totally be your Robin.
Oh, bless you. Yeah. Bless you. Careful now, the missus is listening.
Yeah. Well, as long as I'm not Jason Todd, I'm fine. Like,
no one likes Jason Todd.
No.
No one likes what happens to Jason Todd.
No one does.
So anyway, this week, Bryn, we're talking about an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
We're talking about an X-Men movie. Now, we're not the kind of shit film podcast that would cover some dross like X-Men 3 or anything like that. That's not really our area of shit film. However, we are covering an X-Men film today. We are covering the TV pilot / TV movie Generation X, based on the... is it still going, Generation X? I don't think it is it?
I've stopped paying attention to X-Men a long time ago. I doubt it is. I doubt it is.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. It might well be. I don't know. I, too, stopped paying attention. However, when Generation X came out, I was about 16. It was 1996 this film came out. It came out around the same time. So I would have been 16. And I thought Generation X was so cool and edgy and awesome.
Yeah, well, it came around from that time.
I was, of course, wrong.
Yeah, well, it came around from that time where like they were just throwing out new X teams, all have like X Force, and you know.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
Rob
well, there was a lot of.
Rob Liefeld created far too many characters in too short a time.
And they all looked exactly the same, and all like had ridiculous powers.
Yeah, they all had the undercut for some reason, like the same undercut as well. It was really weird.
Yeah. All the girls had the tiniest waists.
Oh, like impossibly small.
Like impossibly small waists, huge breasts, and all the dudes had arms that were like quite literal tree trunk width.
And everyone had diamond feet.
Yes. And pouches on pouches on pouches on pouches.
Mm.
Big futuristic looking guns and pouches everywhere. Pouches to hold pouches.
Yeah. And just shitty.
Well, yeah, one of the. It was a strange one because at the time it was an awesome time for comics. It was very nearly another boom period in comics, and like the X-Men cartoon was flying. There wasn't yet the X-Men movies. They came a little later. They came shortly after this film, actually.
4 years after.
Yeah. And yeah, X-Men was massive. Wolverine in particular, I remember, was massive. The anti-heroes were the big ones. Punisher, Wolverine. Everyone had a kind of similar character. If you want an epitome... Now, AJ Maggot's going to fucking kill me for this because he loves this character. And I have to admit, I do too. But if you want the epitome of a 90s comic book character, look up Wildcats, Image Comics, Wildcats, and particular Grifter. That is the very image of a 90s comic book character.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, as well as that, you also had like Lobo, who from DC Comics, who's pretty much like a satire of that entire,
of all those characters.
Yeah,
and it was most of the people that like Lobo, myself included, most of the people that like Lobo were kind of liked him because he was the badass, and not because he's taking the piss out of the badass characters, because he was one.
It's just that parody that works just too well.
Yeah, there's still talk of a Lobo film. I'd still watch that.
Oh yeah, if it was done well.
It's a lot of fun, that comic. A lot of fun. But one of the main bringing it back that Marvel brought out to kind of capture that kind of radical teen to the extreme 90s. They created Generation X, which was basically, it was a team headed up by Jubilee, and they were kind of like, you know, street kids, mutant street kids
who were hip and cool and poppin' fresh.
They were so poppin' fresh. Yeah, and they had like cool edgy powers. You had the guy Chamber, who had basically was just a big ball of light with a dude attached to him. Obviously, he didn't make it into the film version due to budgetary constraints. But he had no lower jaw and no kind of chest. It was just this big ball of light that would come out, and it just gave excuse for like loud kind of obnoxious explosions and beams blowing people across, like, you know, panels. That
classic
kind of
Liefeld
vibe. Yeah, classic Liefeld. Like, you know, a couple of panels of a guy just being like thrown by some massive beam of energy. Classic Liefeld. Double-bladed swords. There's another Liefeld for you.
Yeah.
Double-bladed swords.
I'm honestly surprised that he didn't do those Ultimate Warrior comics that came out around the same time.
Yeah, I know. He would have been perfect for them. Around his kind of level of intellect as well, really.
Actually, maybe a little before. I don't think he could come up with Destrucity.
But in this particular iteration of Generation X that we get for this film, we get two people that have been made up for the movie because of budgetary constraints, mainly, I think. And we have Emma Frost and Banshee are like the responsible grown-ups, except Emma Frost isn't really a responsible grown-up, and they are played by not British soap, but actress from Britain who was in many US soaps in the 80s, Finola Hughes. She was in not Melrose Place.
Days of Our Lives?
No, it's a two-word thing, and they both begin with P, and I can't remember what it is. It's an American soap. It's quite a famous one in America, but she's quite famous for being in soaps and stuff. I mean, I think she was in Knots Landing, and she's in that kind of shit. And Banshee is played by Jeremy Ratchford. I'm assuming Jeremy Ratchford is actor Bryn. Judging by the accent that he displayed in his film, I'm assuming he's some kind of from your fair country.
No. His accent is beyond awful. Like,
are you suggesting that he is not a legitimate Irishman?
I thought he was Scottish for half of this film.
How very dare you! Yeah, it is the worst accent I've ever heard in my life. It makes Tom Cruise sound like Jerry Adams.
Yeah, To be fair to him, I admire him for clearly trying to not do a stereotypical Irish accent. He just failed miserably in that goal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he also was Banshee in the X-Men cartoon, according to IMDb.
Oh dear. Well, that would make sense because I remember him being terrible in the cartoon as well.
Yeah. Oh, so bad.
You'd have thought they would have made. I mean, they could have just quietly, if they'd heard how terribly, you'd have thought they could have just quietly not. I'm down for the role of Banshee. Maybe find someone else.
Honestly, for the cartoon, I don't know why they didn't hire an Irish voice actor. I'm sure it would have been cheaper.
I know. You don't even have to find a good-looking one.
No. You don't have to find one. Like, you just have to find someone who's like, "Are you Irish?" "Yes." "Speak into this microphone, please." "Oh, cool, good. You're better than every other actor you've had in." Like,
you're better than the 9 American guys we asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
If you can get someone from a country to do an accent, you can probably get someone from a country to do another accent. But, you should get someone from another country to do an accent.
Like, to be fair, there's very few people outside of Ireland I've heard do convincing Irish accents.
No.
Like,
no.
And I think when
everyone goes for the obvious Dublin. Or Lucky Charms.
But even people doing Dublin accent don't seem to get it right. Like,
nah.
The biggest problem is that I think it's like Ireland is a very small country, but if you go 50 miles in any direction, the accent changes.
Yep.
And that's not an understatement. That's actually the way it is here.
It's the same in Scotland.
Yeah.
It's the same, and it is something that people from outside of Scotland and Ireland as well just do not appreciate at all. You don't hear people say do a Glaswegian accent. You don't hear people say do a Dublin accent, a Galway accent. I mean, even Northern Ireland's got different accents.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like there's a huge difference between Donegal and Antrim. Despite the fact that they're a couple hundred miles apart, like
Kerry. Now,
yeah.
It's going to be racist, Bryn. I'm about to say something racist. All right, I'm just going to say it, and I think you know what it's going to be. You know those Irishman jokes, Englishman, Irishman, and Scotsman jokes.
Yeah.
I feel like when they were, Kerry was what they were thinking when they were doing those jokes.
Probably, yeah.
Because it's like Southern American accent. You couldn't quite imagine, although it's entirely feasible and possible and most likely that it does happen, but you can't imagine that an intelligent person having that accent. Well, it's impossible. Your brain just will not make that connection.
I think even the thing is I spent most of my teenage years living in Cork, and even that accent, it's impossible to imagine someone saying something intelligent in it, because, well, it's a bit like this, and you talk up and down. How's it going? Like, could you imagine that person telling you about the square root of the hypotenuse and it being equal to the other sides? It's just ridiculous, like.
I remember seeing a YouTube clip of a young gentleman with that very accent slipping over on ice.
Oh, that was a classic.
You seen that one? Yeah,
of course.
Oh, it's awful slippy out there, isn't it? Oh, it's awful slippy out. You got to watch yourself now. It's awful slippy out. Beautiful, just beautiful. I urge everyone to go find that. But never a sad. So you can't imagine someone being like upset, angry, or sad in that accent at the same time.
No,
it's a beautiful, simple pathos to it.
Yeah, there's I remember watching like some Irish-made film before, which is a tragedy unto itself. But like there's some bit where it's like there's a funeral going on. I just remember like riffing along with going like, when we have a sad day, we drink it. We have drinks to match our mood. So I'm having Guinness because it's black.
There's just a lovely kind of almost not quaint. You don't want to say quaintness, but
I think quaint kind of applies.
Just to Ireland, sure you won't even feel it in your mouth.
Well, there's that great Adam.
That's another one.
There's that great Adam Hills joke where he's talking about different customs officers that you meet when you're checking into different countries, and he goes to Australia. It's like, when are you leaving? Goes to Germany. How long are you staying with us for? goes to Ireland. So how long are you with us for? Like,
yeah.
And just going like, oh, this is so nice. I never want to leave.
Yeah.
Like,
just good-hearted people.
Yeah.
Much like the character of Banshee, who was a stereotypical policeman in the comics. It's point. He's not in this, but in the comics, he was a stereotypical Irish policeman.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, Banshee has the power of being able to. He can emit subsonic frequencies from his voice, and he can manipulate sound waves using his voice. Emma Frost is an extremely powerful psychic. She can do amazing things with her mind, do shit, and she's quite she's another kind of anti-hero, really. Emma Frost. She's another one that got quite popular around that time as well, I thought,
and remained popular ever since, really.
I did read some of the stuff when she was with Cyclops after Jean Grey died. Her and Cyclops.
Spoiler alert! Jesus.
It's like 10 years ago now. And yeah, I did quite like the interplay and the dynamic between them, because obviously Cyclops is Mr. Goody Two Shoes, by the book guy, and she is really not that.
No.
And so it was a really nice dynamic between them. But anyway, I'm digressing into comic book characters. Odd, given we're watching a comic book movie. Yeah. And they are kind of recruiting for Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. And a young Jubilation Lee is she's playing video games.
But not just any video game. It's Virtua Fighter.
It is Virtua Fighter. I'm gonna have to edit the first one in because I couldn't get my phone in time.
That's fine.
Anyway, time check. Yeah, so she is playing Virtua Fighter video games, and I don't know what the relevance is of her playing Virtua Fighter video games.
It's to show that she's cool and home with the Downies and stuff.
Home with the Downies, that'll be it. Yeah, because Virtua Fighter was so cool at the time. It wasn't in any way a third tier fighting game, and everyone was playing Mortal Kombat.
A third.
Yeah.
A third tier? I mean, come on, Tekken was around as well, and Street Fighter, and King of Fighters, and Mortal Kombat, and... Okay, I can't think of any of this.
No. I mean, ultimately, you should probably just...
Play Virtua Fighter video games!
Well, I guess so. Yeah, that makes much more sense.
Suddenly, it makes sense to me as well. How strange.
Very strange.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
But Matt Fuhrer, I'll do whatever you want.
But she suddenly is. Is she getting frustrated by the video game?
Yeah, I think so.
And that's why it sparks. I think that's why she sets off sparks.
Yeah. Play Virtua Fighter video games.
That's why. Yeah, but she sparks start kind of flying out of her wrists. Not kind of balls of energy like in the comics. They couldn't afford those, so sparks start flying out of her wrists. And suddenly a policeman says, "You're going to have to come with us." Apparently you can get arrested for being a mutant because she isn't registered, but they didn't know she wasn't registered. And there's a whole thing with her mum, and that was painful to watch.
Yeah, that's implying that like that scene in particular is painful to watch. It's just really
The whole film. It is just really laboured. It's really laboured. The idea was that they were making they were hoping to spin this off into a TV.
yeah.
And initially the conceit is quite good, but what I think they've done is they've kind of, instead of devising, they've written the first 2 episodes and stuck them together, and they've kind of got jumbled up and messy. Like the whole kind of Matt Frewer thing, that should be episode 2.
Yeah.
You know? And the whole kind of them kind of finding one another and finding themselves should be episode 1. With something like maybe involving gelling them as a team to kind of establish them in the first episode. That's kind of how I would have thought would have been the way to go. But instead they've got this Matt Frewer is Freddy Krueger subplot.
One of the biggest problems with the film is that like you get to the point where you're like, okay, this is the final act of the movie, and it's just grinding halt where you're dealing with the subplot with Angelo and the girl he likes and all of her friends and stuff, and it has no real bearing on what's gonna how the climax is gonna play out.
Yeah, because obviously that's supposed to be ongoing for the TV series, isn't it?
Probably.
But is it going to be a TV series if you write your pilot shit like this?
Yeah. Well, do you think
silly geese?
One of the things that's interesting as well is that, like, especially if you look at it, if you view it as a film, is that it's one of the few. It's the first time so far in this series of films we've looked at that doesn't adhere to the 60-minute rule of screenwriting.
Yeah.
Where like something has to happen at the 60-minute mark that kind of that basically gets the audience attention, so that when they go into the final half hour to an hour, that
they're fully invested.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, I believe in Star Wars, it's Luke finding out that that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are dead. I believe.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, but like you can look at almost any film. Like 60-minute mark of Jaws is Jaws showing up. You know,
it's usually the first kill in a horror film.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, this is. But no, not today. Not today. No time for love, Dr. Jones.
This is how bad. This is how bad this film is. Zeus and fucking Roxanne did something that this film should have done.
Yeah, adhered to a certain degree of competence in its storytelling.
For anyone wondering, it was actually when the conversation between Steve Guttenberg and your one from Apollo 13 decided that they weren't going to get together. That was a 60-minute moment.
Yeah, and the little girl says, "I don't get it. If a dog and a dolphin can get along, why can't our mom and his dad?"
Oh.
Such dialogue. Such beautiful dialogue.
Some beautifully dreadful dialogue.
Oh dear God. And this is somehow worse. I really like X-Men. I remember really liking, at the time, Generation X, being quite excited for it. I actually remember thinking, I'm going to get issue 1 because it's going to be worth money.
Well, that was also the speculator boom as well. Like, where people were going, like, where every comic was a special edition,
embossed. Yeah. that was yeah. And unfortunately, now most of my because of when I grew up reading comics, most of my comic collection now is absolutely worthless.
Yeah, no, so, same with mine. I think I've only got one comic that is actually worth money.
Well, see, I actually have a secret weapon in my comic collection. When I was growing up, I read 2000 AD every week.
Yeah.
And that's considerably rarer.
Yes.
Now. So yeah, so I've got 2000 AD going back to 1977.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sexy. The Vault.
Yeah.
But all of my Marvel comics, because of when I grew up reading them, worth fuck all.
Yeah, I managed to pick up a very nice copy of Death in the Family.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I still haven't had the courage to read it yet because, like, you know, don't want to damage it.
Go and buy a graphic novel from Forbidden Planet and read that.
Yeah, or I could just, legitimately acquire it online.
Ah, yeah, that's always a thing you can do. Fuck it. If we're going to be recommending comics, everyone should go read Saga. In fact, if you read it, but you've kind of grown up now, you should go and read Saga. It's excellent.
Also, read Next Wave. It's fucking great.
Oh yeah, Next Wave is good.
Yeah,
that's good. Anyway, back to Generation X. What else happens in Generation X? We have. I was running down the cast and the basic kind of premise that Jubilee gets arrested, and men with guns are going to come and take her from her parents' house as soon as she is, because she's released into parents' custody. As soon as she gets home, men with guns are going to come and take her. So she has to go with Emma Frost and Banshee to the School of Gifted Youngsters, where she can, and they run the school. Those two. There's no Professor Xavier. There are no X-Men. It's just them in the school.
I really liked when they had Emma Frost and Banshee go to pick her up. I really liked how they did the mind control stuff with Emma Frost. So that was really a really effective way of doing it.
This is I'm Officer Hootie, and this is Officer Blowfish.
Yeah, well, they're showing the point of view thing where they go like, "Oh, you're wearing the uniforms," despite the fact that they're not and stuff. I thought it was. That was somewhat handled well.
That was we've got fuck all money. How do we do this? That's a good idea. Yeah. It was a smart choice. I think actually the only one in this film.
Yeah. I think it says a lot that if you look at the 1991 Flash TV show, and the production values of that are like miles better than this show that came out 5 years later.
Very true. But to be fair, I mean, The Flash was pretty special.
It was also
TV show, The Flash.
I think up until 2000 it was still the most expensive TV show ever made.
Really? I could believe that. Because it was way ahead of its time.
There was a shitload of money.
You're absolutely right. This film is considerably is on a considerably lower budget.
Yeah. Well,
I imagine it's a pilot, so they weren't gonna.
But even in that scene at the beginning of the film, where it's like a dark scene and you see hands and stuff like that, and then it goes for this shot that usually looks really good when it's done, where it's done at this angle where it's really in a really tight corner, so you can get to see the entire room and see everyone. Problem is that you can see the boundaries of the soundstage, so. It completely takes you out of the scene,
No, there's a couple of little goofs like that. You'll see. It's. I do feel that you can't lay all the blame at the budget. I mean, a lot of it is in little amateurish mistakes like that. It wasn't handled very well at all.
I mean, the thing is, that could have been very easily fixed by just being a little tighter. I really liked that camera angle. I thought it was a really good angle to use, because you're on a soundstage. You can use those kind of camera angles, but it just needed to be tighter in.
Yeah.
The film is filled with loads of stuff like that. It's not enough for me to be like I never get annoyed by it, but I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh, you got so close and
Yeah.
You do that a lot in this film. I mean, yeah, even a lot of the acting cues are like that. The young cast really aren't great either. If they were hoping to have those guys carry a TV series, that Jesus Christ.
But the thing is, they're not given anything to work with either. Like, you know, they're not really like. I mean,
it is very. I mean, their storyline. I mean, the whole thing feels very fucking. It feels like Saved by the Bell with a dash of Power Rangers thrown in.
Yeah, and somehow, well, a little less vanilla than both of them, but it's like the only characters are given anything.
I would say not that much. It wasn't even that vanilla, to be honest. I mean, I think it was quite vanilla, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just that they go
even
into the idea of like one of the characters is ashamed of her body, which is something that neither Power Rangers or Saved by the Bell really ever touched on. You know, like
no, that's true. Yeah, I know. I suppose. Yeah.
Like, and I mean, the thing is, like, she's given a really good piece to work with, but they don't do anything with it. And I mean, obviously, it's a pilot, so they can't. But I think going forward, that would have been really interesting to see.
Yeah, I think goes. That would have obviously been. I mean, you can see an awful lot in this. You can see the lines that they were putting down to run through the series, like, you know, and it's all very. With the exception of that one about her kind of her body consciousness. They're all very kind of, he loves her but she loves him, and
yes,
and you know, and it's all that's what I was meaning by kind of very Saved by the Bell, you know.
Yeah, but it's even
the colour palette as well. I found the colour palette was really
awful.
You know, again, primary kind of childlike.
Dare I say it, very Batman and Robin-y in the lighting department.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I suppose similar kind of timeline as well. When was Batman and Robin? That was
97.
Yeah, so everything was all kind of primary coloured and crappy looking, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Like it. Oh, like that.
Plasticky.
Yes, very much so. The one thing that was also like that I don't like about it was that it was very like the characters are very one note. Like,
yeah,
like on the girl side you've got like main character, you've got the damaged one who doesn't like her body, and then you got bitch, just bitch. Like,
I'm good at everything, bitch.
Yeah, that's her personality.
Which is kind of the complete opposite of what she was like in the comics. She was
Yeah.
very shy and very kind of. She was probably the one that was the most self-conscious.
Yeah.
Because she could do everything and because she was very aware of all-encompassing power. It kind of I mean, she actually withdrew. So that was that kind of jarred with me because I actually quite liked that character of them, but they kind of made her like bitch face. I can do everything, bitch face, which was a shame.
Yeah, and then the
then
guys
the
are
dudes
not
just basically
and
jocks and nerds.
Yeah, well, it's essentially like Angelo and then Bulk and Skull. Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. The guy that plays Mondo is called Bumper Robinson.
That's a terrible name.
That's his name, Bumper. And the whole thing about him not liking Jello.
Yeah.
That was because he was in. It's almost frightening to say it now. He was in one of the Bill Cosby Jello adverts. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God. I feel bad for that
his
kid.
first. That was what that was a reference to. There's a whole thing in the film that doesn't like Jello. They really lay it on thick with that as well. It's like, yeah, all right, fuck off. Yeah, and the other two, was it Refrax? It's Refrax and Mondo are the two kind of douche bras.
Pretty much.
And then Skin. The bit at the start where Skin's getting in the van and going to the school, and the little girl won't let go of his hands.
That effect.
And her stupid smiling face as well. The extra they got to do that was just terrible.
There's
this gormless face just holding on to these rubber hands.
There was very little redeemable about that sequence.
And they kept going back to the well with that effect as well. It just
I have a feeling that the sentence "we did 27 takes and this was the best one" was said more than once on this.
Yeah. If you watch the director's commentary, I'm pretty sure that gets said a lot. So that's kind of the main cast of characters, and the main antagonist is Matt motherfucking Frewer, who somehow found his way. Max Headroom, who I have a great fondness for, largely because of Max Headroom. I remember him fondly from my childhood.
I didn't get to see Max Headroom until I was old enough to go on the internet, really.
Okay.
But like,
he used to do some sometimes when Channel 4 first started. It was like a commemorative thing for like the first, I think, month of Channel 4. Max Headroom would occasionally do continuity.
Okay.
Back in the day when you don't really have that on TV anymore.
Oh no!
Remember back in the day you used to have the.
You have to have continuity for an analog signal. It's not needed for digital.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought they were just politely telling us what was coming up later on the program, on the channel.
No, because the thing is that like now, because the listing is a touch of a button away. Why would they tell you what's on?
Yeah, I know.
Like,
but there was something nice about it. Like,
yeah.
Coming up next, but now the news at 6 o'clock.
But
Max Headroom used to do that on Channel 4 for the first month of its launch.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was because he was like the big thing at the time. So that was they got him to just introduce countdown and things like that.
I first saw Matt Frewer in the first time I was aware of him was in the Watchmen movie where he was Moloch.
Yes, fantastic,
and he was great in that. And then I saw him again a couple of times. Like he was in Supernatural, which I don't know if you've seen, but if you haven't, season from 1 to 5 worth watching. Stop, just stop. It's not worth it anymore.
Okay.
He played. He played Pestilence.
The girlfriend likes Supernatural.
Yeah.
I've seen bits and pieces. It's kind of like Buffy, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of. Crossed a little bit with X-Files.
Okay.
Seriously, like the first 5 seasons, really worth watching. A lot of fun. The soundtrack kicks ass. He plays Pestilence, one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, and he's awesome as it.
Those are the kind of roles he thrives on.
Yeah, and then I got to see him in a 2011 movie called 50-50, which starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen.
He gets a cancer diagnosis.
Yeah. Netflix, for some reason, decided that that's a comedy, despite the fact that nothing fucking funny happens. It just breaks my heart over and over again.
I quite liked it. Liked it.
So, like, I only found out from researching this that Matt Frewer was also the leader from The Incredible Hulk, which was a huge part of my childhood. The animated one that came out in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. The Marvel Action Hour.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, exactly. And but it was watching this film was very painful for me in the sense that like I mean, he comes in and does essentially the best Jim Carrey overacting performance ever. Like, even better than Jim Carrey. But
yeah, he does. He out-carries the Carrey.
yeah, and like it's a good example to use just because, like, to give you an idea of like how painful it was to watch. Imagine if you'd only ever seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and I Love You, Philip Morris, and then watch The Cable Guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good.
It hurts.
That's the contrast here.
It hurts so much.
Yeah, but no, I mean Matt Frew is really good at hamming it up. But
he's
in
really...
fact Max Headroom was largely just a big ham session, really. But yeah, he fucking pulls out all the stops in this one. He basically plays an evil scientist with dubious morals, as displayed at the start by doing something horrid, who is using subliminal message to make people do things. There's that really weird scene where he's walking through the club, and I wasn't sure, is he walking through the club, or is that the kind of the psychic dealio of him walking through the club? That's what I chose to kind of take it as, was him, because he was like walking past and telling that kid to smoke.
Yeah.
and then play your video games.
Virtua Fighter video games.
Oh, hang on, I've got to play Virtua Fighter for a while. Hang on a second. I don't know. I think it can be viewed either way.
And he was kind of walking. He just seemed really fucking creepy. Is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a really.
He just seemed really
he's a creepy
sinister
motherfucker in this.
He is. He's a kind of gangly, gawky, creepy dude. Anyway, there's just something really creepy about him walking through a room full of kids, telling them to smoke and play video games.
Yeah. You have to go back to like the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang to find someone comparably creepy, I think.
I think there was a definite nod.
Yeah.
To the child catcher, just in his general kind of creeping about the place, hamming it up. But he's probably the most enjoyable thing in this film. You just feel sorry for Fenella Hughes. I mean, she's not exactly, Meryl fucking Streep herself, to be honest. But, still, she's done some shit in her day. And here she is, pissing about in a white nightie, wearing very little.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, I think the accomplished actors who are in this film, I think you feel bad for all of them because they all deserve better, and to be fair to them, I think most of them do go on to do better things.
Yeah.
I
don't know what Fenella Hughes is doing these days. But
vodka, probably.
Directing, I think I remember seeing something. I got the impression there were an awful lot of actors in this series who just series.
Yeah.
Bills to pay, man. I just need a fucking series. Even if it's just one season.
Yeah.
I'll be sorted. I got that impression for an awful lot of these folks. Do you know what she actually started out as, Fenella Hughes?
Wow.
She was, now, listeners who will no doubt be familiar with Benny Hill, as I imagine you are, of course, Bryn. Benny Hill.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Now, I would say to those people that are familiar with the work of Benny Hill, to seek out the far superior Kenny Everett.
I've heard of Kenny Everett.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine you have, but I don't.
I don't think I've ever seen any Kenny Everett, but I've heard of him.
That's because I was recording the sound clip earlier on,
Yeah.
and I had it set to stereo mix instead of set to my microphone for recording, and I just hit record, and basically recorded you again.
Okay.
Fuck a duck.
I just missed the beginning of that. I'd lost you for a good minute there.
Yeah, no, my mic unmuted for some reason. Oh, motherfucker. I basically recorded you instead of...
The session.
Yeah, instead of recording
shit.
me. Great. There'll be the recording from the Hangouts, which we might be able to do something with.
Okay.
Okay, right. We'll wrap it up, and we'll edit this bit out.
Sure.
For fuck's sake. Okay, so what were we talking about there before?
Kenny Everett.
Yeah, the Kenny Everett show for our American listeners. Kenny Everett is kind of the bawdy naughtiness of Benny Hill, but without the rampant sexism of Benny Hill, largely because Kenny Everett was gay. There is still considerable sexism because it is from the 70s. But I urge everyone to seek out Kenny Hill. He's much, much funnier. Far sillier, much funnier. But one of the kind of naughty ladies... See, there is still sexism. One of the naughty ladies who he would, chase about on occasion, who'd be wearing, like, skimpy outfits, would be a young Finola Hughes. And that's where she got her start, was the work of Kenny Everett. Yeah, needless to say, she jumped on the first plane to America and started doing soaps as soon as possible.
It doesn't surprise me.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? And that's basically what Finola Hughes did. But yeah, I was right. She's actually branched out into directing.
Cool.
She was Professor Svankmajer in Scooby-Doo: Legend of the Phantasaur. And she was in Pocahontas 2: Journey to the New World as well in 1998.
Well, everyone's seen that.
Yeah, so to say she went on to better things, possibly not.
Well, to be fair, she made stuff after this film. She went on to better things.
Yeah, well, that's true. Her career didn't tank. From the Wikipedia page, there's an awful lot of red links next to the younger members of the cast.
Oh boy.
So, you know what that means. Not much for them.
No.
Which is a shame. Skin, nothing. Bumper Robinson was in some stuff. He's gone on to lots of kind of TV roles and stuff. And voice work as well. He was in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air before this.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in an episode of Fresh Prince. And
Curious.
he was in All Grown Up, which was the the teenager version of Rugrats.
Yeah.
And the computer game Command & Conquer Generals. There you go.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, went on to big stuff. So no one really went on to go. And having looked at it, it's kind of understandable. Matt Frewer was lucky to get out alive, to be honest. Usually I say to people, you can go and find this film. You can find this on YouTube. I wouldn't fucking bother. Is that harsh, Bryn?
No, it's a PSA at this point, really. The thing is that it's if you have to watch an X-Men movie, what's the first X-Men movie? Don't watch this. Just
What's the first X-Men movie? I quite like First Class. I know that's a polarising one. I quite like First Class. I quite like the most recent one as well. Watch one of those.
I haven't seen Days of Future Past yet, actually.
I quite like it. Again, it gets a lot of shit, but I quite like it.
They're not, as long as it's better than X-Men 3, I don't really give a shit. So,
Yeah, to be honest, this is only marginally worse than X-Men 3.
It's differently worse, is what I would say.
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
I loved Vinnie Jones as a Juggernaut. He made watching that at the cinema bearable. That fucking film, dude.
I lost all respect for Vinnie Jones when he said that he doesn't plan on moving back to the United Kingdom from Los Angeles because there's too many immigrants living in Los Angeles.
What? Vinnie Jones is a piece of shit? No.
I know. I know. Vinnie Jones is a kind of atypical Cockney racist. Who knew?
Shocking.
Those years stamping on people's legs, playing for Watford. Who knew?
Crushing fucking.
Who knew?
What's his
Gazza's
name?
bollocks.
Yes. Yeah, crushing Gazza's bollocks.
Quite famously, grabbing Gazza by the bollocks. Bastard.
Shut
Bastard
the
of a
front
football
door.
player.
There's no way.
I know. He's a racist, don't you?
Yeah. Also, one thing that I wanted to bring up just because it popped in my head. Was it at all jarring to you when halfway through the film they just randomly start swearing heavily?
Yeah, it was almost like the parent, like mum and dad have gone.
Yeah,
let her rip.
And it's not even like they're going for just like, you know, bastard or bitch. They're going for straight fucks and shits. Like it's
Do you know what? And do you know what it's like? It's like being within earshot of kids who don't know you're there, who have recently learnt swearing and how cool it is. Yeah. And they don't know that there's a grown-up within earshot, and they're kind of effing and jeffing and really forcing those swear words in wherever the fuck they can. Yeah.
It's the same thing with like I don't know if you've ever watched like the DVD versions of like Family Guy episodes.
Yeah.
Where they uncensor it. So if you're used to the censored version and then watch the uncensored, you're like, what the hell is going on here?
What did they just say?
Yeah.
Did he just say fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why that is. Whether it was some kind of DVD? Were those bits only in the DVD release? Maybe. Well, we would have still been on videos at this point. They're possibly only in the video release.
Well, I mean,
once they realised,
DVD.
I think
far away.
There is a DVD release of this. But just watch it. If you're going to inflict it upon yourself, just watch it on YouTube. It's right there.
Don't give them money for this.
It's exactly what I was about to say. They did not earn their money for this film. Watch it for free. You will not be entertained by it.
They will take more from you than you will take from them.
Exactly. You will still feel like you have paid too much. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Generation X. This has been a somewhat fraught with technical perils. Shit Film Sundays, episode 5. Follow us on Twitter. Suggest your shit films @shitfilms. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/shitfilmsundays. Obviously, the home of Shit Film Sundays. You can get us at soundcloud.com/shit-film-sundays. Stitcher, iTunes, all that jazz. If you don't know how to listen to us and you're listening to the end of this podcast, I don't know what to tell you, man. Go check out Geeks of the Industry. Chunky Larry, thank you very much for stepping in last week. Go check out all their shows. Also, it is VHS, Grindhouse, and Sleaze Facebook page. Those guys have been really supportive of our efforts. And as ever, a massive thank you to Garth Knight for the theme tune, 88 miles per hour. I'm sure you'll all agree it's a belter.
I'm sure all of you cannot stop listening to it. It's awesome.
Yeah, go find him on SoundCloud. Actually, Garth, bunch of awesome tunes that you can just buy from him for very, very cheap, very good price, and you help support his musical endeavours, and he'll make more awesome tunes. And that's how that works. So you can do that and go and see him, and that'd be cool. And from myself, Felonious Punk from Bryn O'Rourke, this has been Shit Film Sundays. Cheerio!
Bye.
Right.
Radio.